Hinduism, one of the oldest religions in the world, is not just a belief system. It's a vast, intricate philosophy that stretches across millennia. The core of Hindu thought revolves around a deep search for truth, knowledge, and liberation, moksha. But the journey to this ultimate understanding is not simple. It's rich with a variety of perspectives, each offering its unique path to realizing the nature of reality, the self, and the universe. At the heart of Hindu philosophy are the 6 Orthodox schools, known as Astika, which accept the authority of the Vedas, the oldest and most sacred scriptures of Hinduism. These 6 schools, while sharing this common foundation, offer distinct views on the nature of existence, the self, Atman, the ultimate reality, Brahman, and how one can achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death, samsara. Today, we're going to explore these 6 systems of thought, examining their philosophies, their approaches to life's fundamental questions, and their paths to spiritual freedom. Whether you are a scholar of philosophy, a seeker of spiritual wisdom, or just someone interested in understanding the diversity of Hindu thought, this journey through the 6 Orthodox schools will deepen your appreciation of Hinduism's vast intellectual heritage. Let's start with Nyaya, the philosophical school that places heavy emphasis on logic, reasoning, and debate. Founded by Aksapada Gautama, Nyaya philosophy revolves around the idea that the only way to attain true knowledge is through logical reasoning. The mind must be trained to think rationally, analyze carefully, and deduce truths based on solid evidence. Nyaya teaches that knowledge comes from 4 sources: perception, pratyaksha, direct observation of the world through our senses; inference, anumana, drawing conclusions based on logical deduction; comparison, upamana, understanding through analogy; testimony, shabda, learning through authoritative verbal transmission, particularly from sacred texts like the Vedas. In Nyaya, everything is analyzed and dissected, from physical reality to abstract concepts. The goal of this school is to strip away ignorance, avidya, and false beliefs through rigorous logic and reasoning. Through this, one can obtain clear, true knowledge, which ultimately leads to moksha, liberation. For the Nyaya philosopher, life is a puzzle waiting to be solved, and logic is the key to uncovering the truth. If you've ever engaged in a heated debate or found yourself analyzing the world through facts, evidence, and reason, you've unknowingly taken a page from the Nyaya school. It's the pursuit of clarity through reasoning, and it provides a strong intellectual foundation for many of Hindu philosophy's deeper truths. Next, we have Vaisheshika, a school of philosophy that stands out for its theory of atomism. While many people might associate the concept of atoms with modern science, the Vaisheshika system was among the first to propose the idea that everything in the universe is made up of tiny, indivisible particles, which they call atoms anew. Founded by Kaneda, the Vaisheshika school posits that the physical world consists of matter, which is in turn made up of atoms. These atoms are eternal, indivisible, and come together to form all objects, whether living or non-living. This idea predates the discovery of atoms in modern science by thousands of years and shows the deep insight that ancient Indian thinkers had about the physical world. But Vaisheshika's teachings go beyond just explaining the physical structure of the world. According to this school, even the soul and consciousness are composed of very fine, subtle atoms. The goal of Vaisheshika philosophy is to understand the physical world, its structure, its laws, and its operation, so that one can gain deeper wisdom and eventually attain moksha. In essence, Vaisheshika philosophy blends the material and the spiritual, asserting that both matter and consciousness are fundamentally interconnected. By understanding the smallest components of the universe, Vaisheshika teaches that we can move closer to understanding the ultimate reality. Moving on, we come to Samkhya, a school of philosophy founded by Kapila that advocates for dualism. Unlike the schools we've discussed so far, which often view the universe as a single unified reality, Samkhya emphasizes two fundamental, independent realities: Purusha, consciousness, and Prakriti, matter. According to Samkhya, Purusha is pure consciousness, the eternal self that is untouched by the material world. Prakriti, on the other hand, is the material world, which is made up of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, along with the mind and intellect. Samkhya teaches that the universe exists because of the interplay between these two forces: Purusha, which remains static and pure, and Prakriti, which is dynamic and ever-changing. The purpose of life, according to Samkhya, is to realize that the self, Purusha, is distinct from the material world, Prakriti. This realization leads to liberation, Moksha, which is the freedom of the self from the entanglements of the material world. Ignorance, avidya, binds the self to the body and the mind, creating suffering. But when one sees through the illusion of separation and realizes their true nature, liberation is achieved. Samkhya provides a framework for understanding how we can transcend our attachment to the material world and experience the purity of consciousness. It's about discovering the distinction between the eternal self and the transient world, and from there, achieving freedom from the cycle of rebirth. Now, we come to yoga, one of the most well-known schools of Hindu philosophy, particularly in the modern world. The word yoga itself means union, and the practice is all about uniting the individual soul, Atman, with the ultimate reality, Brahman. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the foundational text of this school, lays out an eightfold path to achieve spiritual liberation. These 8 limbs are designed to help an individual move from a state of suffering and ignorance to one of enlightenment and self-realization. The 8 limbs of yoga are
Yama Deethikel Kendakt, Moral Distrant.
Niyama, self-discipline and personal observances. Asana, physical postures or exercises. Pranayama, breath control and regulation. Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses from external distractions. Dharana, concentration and focus. Dhyana, meditation and mindfulness. Samadhi, complete absorption or union with the divine. Through the practice of these 8 limbs, yoga leads to a calm and disciplined mind, which is essential for self-realization. Yoga isn't just about physical exercise, asana. It's about purifying the mind, developing concentration, and ultimately realizing one's unity with the divine. In the modern world, yoga is often practiced for physical fitness and mental health, but at its core, it's a comprehensive system for spiritual growth and liberation. Next, let's explore Mimamsa, a school that may seem a bit different from the other schools we've discussed. While philosophies like yoga and Samkhya focus on self-realization and inner purity, Mimamsa is concerned with the performance of rituals and the duties one must fulfill in life. Jaimini, the founder of Mimamsa, emphasized the importance of adhering to the sacred rituals and practices as prescribed in the Vedas. For Mimamsa philosophers, the key to achieving spiritual progress is through dharma, the righteous and moral duties that one must perform, particularly through the Vedic rituals and sacrifices. According to this school, the performance of rituals is not just about religious observance, but is a way to purify the self and maintain harmony with the cosmos. These rituals are considered the means by which humans can achieve spiritual merit, avoid suffering, and ultimately attain moksha. In contrast to schools like Samkhya, which focus on the introspective path to liberation, Mimamsa takes a more active approach. It teaches that even mundane activities, when performed with the right intention, become part of the spiritual journey. Every action, no matter how small, can be seen as an offering to the divine. Mimamsa encourages us to fulfill our responsibilities and duties, whether they involve religious practices, family roles, or societal obligations. By doing so with sincerity and devotion, we can purify our actions and move closer to self-realization. Finally, we come to Vedanta, perhaps the most widely recognized and influential of all the 6 schools of Hindu philosophy. The term Vedanta means the end of the Vedas, and it represents the culmination of Vedic thought, offering profound insights into the nature of reality, the self, and the universe. At the heart of Vedanta is the concept of Brahman, the ultimate reality. Brahman is formless, eternal, and all-encompassing. It is the source of everything in the universe, and everything animate or inanimate is a manifestation of Brahman. Vedanta teaches that Atman, the individual soul, is not separate from Brahman. In fact, Atman and Brahman are one. The primary aim of Vedanta is to realize this oneness between Atman and Brahman, thereby achieving liberation, moksha. The realization that the self, Atman, is identical to the supreme reality, Brahman, is what frees us from the cycle of birth and death, samsara. There are different schools within Vedanta, each offering its own interpretation of the relationship between Atman and Brahman. Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism, founded by Adi Shankaracharya, asserts that there is no difference between the self and the ultimate reality. According to Advaita, all distinctions between the individual soul and the divine are illusions, maya. Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, qualified non-dualism, proposed by Ramanuj, believes that while the self is ultimately one with Brahman, it retains its individuality and characteristics in a more qualified, but non-separate manner. Dvaita Vedanta, dualism, established by Madhvacharya, argues that the self and the divine are distinct and eternally separate. According to Dvaita, liberation is achieved by developing a personal relationship with the divine. Despite the differences in these schools, Vedanta unites them in the fundamental belief that self-realization and the realization of oneness with the divine are the ultimate goals of life. It provides a deep philosophical foundation for understanding the nature of existence and our place within the universe. As we've seen, each of the 6 Orthodox schools, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Samkhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta, presents a different way of approaching the fundamental questions of life. But one might ask, how do these schools fit together? Do they conflict with one another? The beauty of Hindu philosophy lies in its diversity and its acceptance of multiple paths to spiritual enlightenment. Each school, though different, is seen as offering a complementary perspective on the same ultimate reality. They represent different aspects of the human experience: intellect, reasoning, action, contemplation, and devotion. For example, the logical reasoning of Nyaya can help clarify concepts in Vedanta, while the practice of yoga offers a practical method to experience the unity that Vedanta teaches. The material analysis in Vaisheshika and the focus on action in Mimamsa provide a more grounded approach to understanding the world, complementing the metaphysical discussions in other schools. These schools do not contradict each other, but rather provide different tools to navigate the path of life. Whether through logic, ritual, meditation, or knowledge, Each path ultimately leads to the same destination: Moksha, the liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Now, you might be wondering, how do these ancient philosophies relate to our lives today? Well, these schools of thought aren't just theoretical systems. They offer practical tools for navigating the challenges of modern life. Nyaya and critical thinking. In today's world, where misinformation and confusion are rampant, the logic and reasoning of Nyaya are incredibly valuable. By training ourselves to think critically, question assumptions, and analyze information logically, we can make better decisions and avoid being misled by false beliefs. Vaisheshika and scientific inquiry. Vaisheshika's atomism might sound like ancient science, but it aligns closely with modern scientific theories. It encourages us to look at the world at its most fundamental level, exploring the nature of reality through observation and analysis. This can be applied in fields like physics, biology, and even psychology. Samkhya and the nature of the self. Samkhya's dualism teaches us to separate the eternal self from the transient mind and body. In a world where we often confuse our thoughts, emotions, and external identities with who we truly are, Samkhya provides a valuable framework for realizing that our true self is beyond these transient aspects. Yoga and personal growth. The practices of yoga are widely recognized today, not just for physical fitness, but also for mental clarity and emotional well-being. The Eightfold Path of Yoga helps cultivate discipline, mindfulness, and inner peace, providing practical tools for managing stress, anxiety, and the pressures of modern life. Mimamsa and action. In the fast-paced, action-driven world we live in, Mimamsa's emphasis on performing one's duties with dedication and sincerity is particularly relevant. Whether it's work, family life, or social responsibilities, performing our duties with integrity and purpose can lead to personal growth and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Vedanta and spiritual unity. Finally, Vedanta's teachings on the unity of all existence resonate strongly in today's world. As global interconnectedness continues to grow, Vedanta reminds us that the boundaries we place between ourselves and others are ultimately illusions. Understanding the interconnectedness of all beings can foster compassion, unity, and a deeper sense of belonging in the world. The 6 Orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy offer us a profound and holistic understanding of the world. Each school, with its unique approach, invites us to question the nature of reality, the self, and our place in the universe. They don't just provide intellectual frameworks. They offer practical guidance on how to live a more conscious, intentional, and fulfilling life. Whether you are seeking knowledge, wisdom, inner peace, or liberation, these schools provide a pathway. And the beauty of Hindu philosophy is that it doesn't force you to follow just one path. You can blend insights from different schools to find the approach that best suits your personal journey. As you reflect on these teachings, remember that the path to self-realization and moksha is not a destination but a lifelong journey. With each step, we uncover deeper truths about ourselves, the world around us, and the divine that connects us all. So, continue your exploration. Keep questioning, keep seeking, and above all, keep growing in wisdom. The beauty of the 6 Orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy is that they are not just intellectual exercises but provide practical insights for everyday life. These ancient systems of thought have the power to influence the way we approach problems, relationships, and even personal growth in today's world. In a fast-paced and often chaotic world, these philosophical systems offer us a grounding, a roadmap to navigate life with greater wisdom and understanding. Let's break down how the core teachings of these schools can directly influence your daily existence. Nyaya and logical thinking in decision-making. Nyaya's emphasis on logic and reasoning can be incredibly useful when making difficult decisions in life. In a time when we are constantly bombarded by conflicting information and opinions, the ability to analyze, question, and deduce using logic is more valuable than ever. Whether you're deciding on a career, a business investment, or even how to approach personal relationships, the principles of critical thinking and analysis from Nyaya can guide you to better, more informed decisions. Vaisheshika and the pursuit of knowledge. Vaisheshika's belief in atoms and its focus on understanding the building blocks of reality can be applied to modern scientific inquiry. It teaches us that in order to truly understand the universe, we must break things down to their smallest components. Today, this is mirrored in the way scientists explore atoms, molecules, and even subatomic particles. Vaisheshika encourages an attitude of curiosity and analysis, urging us to seek out deeper knowledge of the world in which we live. Samkhya and self-realization. The dualism taught in Samkhya, which differentiates the eternal self, Purusha, from the material world, Prakriti, can be used as a tool for inner reflection. In a world where we often confuse our identity with our emotions, thoughts, or external circumstances, Samkhya reminds us that the true self is eternal and beyond the temporary physical and emotional states. Recognizing this distinction can help us detach from the transient and develop a deeper, more peaceful connection to the true self. Yoga and mental clarity. Yoga is no longer just a practice for physical health. It has become a holistic approach for balancing the mind, body, and spirit. With its emphasis on meditation, breath control, and discipline, yoga helps foster a peaceful mind. The modern world can be overwhelming, with stress and anxiety often taking the forefront. But through the teachings of yoga, we can find ways to center ourselves, regulate our emotions, and achieve mental clarity in our daily lives. Practicing yoga can lead to emotional balance and a sense of connectedness to the divine within. Mimamsa and the importance of duty. Mimamsa teaches that duty and rituals are sacred and essential for spiritual growth. In our modern lives, we often find ourselves distracted by the external world, work pressures, societal expectations, or personal desires. Mimamsa brings us back to the idea of performing our duties with dedication and mindfulness, regardless of the outcome. This approach helps us stay grounded, focusing on what is truly important and fulfilling, and it encourages us to carry out our responsibilities with a sense of purpose and devotion. Vedanta and the concept of oneness. Vedanta's core teaching of oneness, the realization that Atman, the self, is one with Brahman, the supreme reality, is incredibly transformative. In our increasingly divided world, this teaching encourages a vision of unity and interconnectedness. Whether it's through personal relationships, global issues, or our connection to the environment, Vedanta teaches that we are all part of the same whole. This profound understanding can help shift our mindset towards greater compassion, tolerance, and cooperation in our interactions with others. The challenges we face today may seem new, but they often echo the same human struggles that philosophers have pondered for centuries. Whether we're dealing with issues of identity, purpose, mental well-being, or even societal harmony, the teachings of these 6 schools offer a rich well of wisdom to draw from. Let's take a look at some contemporary issues and how these schools can provide insight. In today's world, mental health issues like stress, anxiety, and depression are increasingly prevalent. Philosophies like yoga and Samkhya offer valuable perspectives. Yoga, with its focus on mind-body integration, teaches us to center ourselves through meditation, breath control, and physical postures, all of which are scientifically proven to alleviate stress. Similarly, Samkhya's emphasis on distinguishing the true self from the mind and body allows us to recognize that our thoughts and emotions are transient and do not define our essence. Nyaya, with its emphasis on logic and reasoning, can guide us when we face ethical dilemmas. In a world where right and wrong can sometimes feel blurred, the principles of Nyaya encourage us to apply reason, carefully examine consequences, and make decisions based on ethical reasoning. By applying these methods, we can ensure that our actions align with our moral values and benefit the greater good. The current environmental crisis calls for a shift in our relationship with nature. Vedanta and Vaisheshika offer a vision of interconnectedness that is deeply relevant. Vedanta teaches that everything in the universe is a manifestation of Brahman, and thus, every living being and natural element is sacred. Vaisheshika, with its emphasis on the fundamental components of nature, reminds us that our actions affect the very building blocks of life. Understanding these connections can lead to a deeper sense of environmental responsibility and a commitment to protecting the earth for future generations. In times of political division and social unrest, Vedanta's vision of oneness is particularly pertinent. If we recognize that all individuals are manifestations of the same universal truth, we are more likely to treat one another with respect, compassion, and understanding. By embracing the teachings of Vedanta, we can work towards greater social harmony, where differences are seen not as divisions, but as part of the diverse fabric of existence. The 6 Orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy are not just ancient doctrines, but living, breathing systems of thought that offer timeless wisdom. They speak to the heart of what it means to be human, our struggle with suffering, our quest for truth, and our search for liberation. Each of these schools offers a unique lens through which to view the world, and together, they create a holistic understanding of the self, the universe, and the divine. In the modern world, we face unique challenges, but the core questions remain the same. Who are we? What is the nature of reality? How can we live meaningful lives? The teachings of Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Samkhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta provide us with the tools to explore these questions and to navigate life with greater insight and clarity. Whether you are drawn to the logical rigor of Nyaya, the scientific curiosity of Vaisheshika, the inner discipline of Yoga, the duty-based ethics of Mimamsa, the philosophical depth of Samkhya, or the spiritual unity of Vedanta, each path offers a way to deepen your understanding, live more consciously, and achieve liberation. These schools are not merely intellectual pursuits, but are paths to personal transformation, leading us towards a life of wisdom, peace, and oneness with the universe. So, let us continue to explore, question, and embrace these profound teachings, allowing them to guide us on our journey towards self-realization and moksha.